Good morning all, I am Simran Kaur, your science teacher from Shiv Jyoti Educational Group. Get your science book, grab your pencil and open chapter 1, Nutrition in Plants. Come to page number 7. Now page number may vary from mine depending on the edition of your book. Chapter 1, Nutrition in Plants. What we studied so far, we studied about that what is nutrition, the process of eating food. We eat food to get energy, so that process of eating food and utilizing that food is known as nutrition. Next is autotrophic nutrition. In this we studied that there are few organisms which are able to make their own food. So that type of nutrition is known as autotrophic nutrition. Now, like plants, they show this type of nutrition, autotrophic nutrition. So how they are able to make their food? By which process? Do they have some superpowers? No, they show the process of photosynthesis. The next type is heterotrophic nutrition. We know that not all plants and animals are able to make their food. They are dependent on other plants and animals. So that type of nutrition is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And at last, insectivorous plants. There are few plants which can prepare their food, but still they feed on other insects. Why? To fulfill their the requirement for extra nutrients. They depend on bacteria or insect. Question 1. What do you understand by the term nutrition, and name two major types of modes of nutrition in plants? In this chapter we are covering only about plants. So what is nutrition? As I told you, the process of obtaining and utilizing food by the organism is called nutrition. Two major types of modes of nutrition in plants are autotrophic nutrition, like plants show, and heterotrophic nutrition, like we human beings. We are heterotrophs because we are dependent on directly or indirectly on plants. Second, define the term autotroph. What are autotrophs? The organisms which synthesize their own food are called autotrophs. Now you will say that, ma'am, we also prepare our own food, we can make our food in the kitchen, that means we are also autotrophs? No. Autotrophs, the very good example is plant. It is able to prepare his own food in the presence of sunlight. So the organism which make their own food is known as autotroph. Okay, can you give me the process, the name of the process by which they make their own food? That process is known as photosynthesis. What is the name of the process by which plants are able to make their food? That process is known as photosynthesis. What do you mean by the term photo? Photo means light, sun, and to synthesize means to make. So we know that plant make their food in the presence of sun, and that is known as photosynthesis. Now what do they require? What is their need? Like plants, they need carbon dioxide. You have some idea that we intake oxygen to survive. Plants take carbon dioxide in photosynthesis. Plus they take water. Water from where? Water from the soil. In the presence of sunlight, and there is one more thing which is present in the leaf of plant, which is known as chlorophyll. So these are the requirement to perform photosynthesis. Now chemical reaction takes place, we will obtain new products, different products, and those products are, what are those products? First is the food, which we call it glucose, the food which they make. Plus they liberate which gas? They release oxygen in our atmosphere. So got it? What is photosynthesis? The process by which plants make their food. And what are the requirements? Carbon dioxide, water, presence of sunlight, chlorophyll, and they give us food, glucose and oxygen. Understood? Come back to our slide. Okay, now this is your internal question first, and this you have to write in your science book. What are the different types of heterotrophs? Before answering this question, you know what are heterotrophs? Organisms which are dependent on plants directly or indirectly. The very good example is us, human beings. So write this question on page number 10. Okay? Parasites, saprophytes and symbionts. These are examples of heterotrophs. Now, which chemical is used to find the occurrence of photosynthesis? That is iodine solution. Now first understand what has been asked in this question. Now we have to show that this is leaf. Okay? Leaf is also known as food factories. Why? Because on which part of plant food is manufactured? On leaf. So food factory of plant is leaf. Now you have to show that this leaf has performed this process, photosynthesis. So what will you do? How can you test it? Okay, do you remember the product which we obtained after this photosynthesis? Glucose. We were getting glucose. Our food, glucose. Glucose, it is stored in the form of starch. Okay, glucose is a simple carbohydrate and starch is complex carbohydrate. So now we know that leaf has performed photosynthesis, so it has starch present on the leaf. Now we have to perform one test which is known as iodine test. That test is known as iodine test. To this starch we will add iodine, solution of iodine. Again we are adding a chemical, so chemical reaction will take place and there will be change in the color of our leaf. It will turn into which color? It will turn into blue-black color as shown here. Okay, this is our normal leaf. You can see the green parts and here it is blue-black color. It is looking like completely black, but it is blue-black in color. Next is list the conditions necessary for photosynthesis. Like in that equation we discussed 4 requirements: chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. If out of 4, if even one thing is absent, then the leaf will not perform photosynthesis. All 4 are required. Next, what is stomata? How does it help in photosynthesis? Like recently we studied chapter 10, respiration in organisms. Like we breathe through which organ? By nose. Okay, we breathe in oxygen, we breathe in air through our nose. So does leaf has nose? No, it does not. So leaf has very small pores, very small holes, and those holes are known as stomata. So stomata are small pores mainly present at the lower surface of the leaf. Okay, why we are saying that mainly present at the lower surface? It is present on the upper surface also, but they are present in more in number in lower surface. These are helpful for exchange of gases in the process of photosynthesis. Which gases? Plants, the leaves breathe in carbon dioxide and they give oxygen. And these stomata also takes part in transpiration. Transpiration means the water escape out from the body of plant. Like we human beings do sweating, we sweat, they transpire, plants. This is structure of open stomata. Stomata is open, the hole is open through which gases can pass through. Now this is closed stomata. This hole is closed and it is surrounded by two cells, and these cells are known as guard cell. Are you getting it? Next question, what do you understand by the term host? Look, whenever you throw birthday party, so you are hosting your party. So during that party, you offer snacks to your guest. Those to whom you have invited, you offer food, you offer snacks to them. So got the meaning of host, which offer food to some another organism. So here, look at this image. This is skin of man and this is mosquito. So this man is host for this mosquito, like he is offering what? He is offering his blood to this mosquito, and this mosquito is sucking his blood, means it is his food. So this man is not doing this willingly. So you can compare this, out of this man and this mosquito, who is getting benefit? Only this mosquito. So an organism which provide food to other organism is known as host. So this man here is host for this mosquito. How does parasitic plants get their food? So before answering this question, you should know what are parasites. Parasites show heterotrophic mode of nutrition, means they are dependent on another organism for their food. So parasites depend on their host. Like in this case, this mosquito is parasite. He is dependent on another living organism, this man. And parasites get benefit from this process, not the other organism. Now how do they obtain their food? Parasitic plants get their food from the host. It has special tubular structures called hostoria. These you can see these tube-like structure, pipe-like structure are known as hostoria that penetrate into the tissues of the host. It goes deep inside the skin of the host and they suck their nutrients. Why do pickles spoil in rainy season? Like other than parasites, there are one more organisms known as saprophytes. Saprophytes are those organisms which depend on the dead and decaying matter for their food. They are dependent on dead matter, not living organism. So here, pickles spoil in rainy season because fungal spores. Now these fungal spores, this fungi, it is saprophyte. It can easily grow in rainy season, which spoil pickle. Fungal spores are present in air. So the habitat is favorable for the growth of fungi in this jar where pickle is present. This environment is favorable for the growth of fungal spores. Then next, differentiate between parasite and saprophyte. Parasites, it is an organism that obtains its food from other living organisms and cause harm, like when mosquito bite us. So it is harmful for us. Whereas saprophytes, these organisms obtain their food from dead and decaying plants or animals. Parasite harm the body of the host, whereas saprophytes, they are cleaning agent because they are cleaning the dirt. We can say that plant and animal are dirt for our environment, so they are cleaning agents because they clean our environment. Example of parasites are dodder, amarbale, mistletoe. And example of saprophyte, mushroom, yeast, bacteria. These all are saprophytes. Now another internal question, give an example of symbiosis. Now what is symbiosis? Now you have studied what are parasites, what are saprophytes. Now another type of organism comes. Symbiosis is a relationship between two organisms. In this, two organisms are involved and there is a mutual relationship between them. Means both are getting benefits from each other. So that type of relationship is known as symbiosis. And the organism which show this relationship is known as symbiont. So the very best example is lichen. Lichen is an example of symbiosis. You can see this grayish part, this is lichen. What are the two components of lichen? The two components of lichen are alga and fungus. Okay, we studied that there are two organisms involved, and in lichen, two organisms are what? Algae and fungus. So you have to write this question in your book on page number 11. Okay, another internal question. Which bacteria is found in root nodules of legume plants? Look, this is another example of symbiosis where we can see the relationship of two organisms in which both are getting benefits. Move to this page. Now what actually happens? Rhizobium is a bacteria, and which one is the other organism? Let's see. This is our ground surface, this is soil, and this is any plant. And these are roots. Now we know that so many gases are present in atmosphere, one of which is nitrogen. Nitrogen is present everywhere around this plant, but this nitrogen is required by this plant, but this is not able to consume this gas directly. So how will it take it, this nitrogen? There is one bacteria present in the root nodules. Let's take. Bacteria is present here, and this bacteria is rhizobium. What is the function of this bacteria? Rhizobium. This bacteria converts this nitrogen gas into its compounds, and that compound is soluble in this soil, means the water which is present in soil, that compound is soluble in that water, and through water the roots of plant can absorb those nitrogenous compounds, and this is how this plant is able to consume this nitrogen. So now rhizobium is helping this plant. Now what benefit it is getting? The food. Plants prepare food, and this food is consumed by this bacteria. So this is mutual relationship, both are getting benefits, this rhizobium bacteria and this plant. So this is another example of symbiosis. Okay, now let's recall all modes of nutrition with the help of flow chart. Mode of nutrition, there are two modes of nutrition, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. In autotrophic, auto means self organism, they are able to prepare their own food, which through which process? By the process of photosynthesis. Now can you give me example? All green plants. Okay. Now in heterotrophic we study three organisms: parasites, saprophytes and symbiosis relationship. Example of parasites means in which they are dependent on host for their food. Example is cuscuta. Then saprophytes, they are dependent on dead and decaying matter for their food. Example, a very common example is mushroom. We eat mushroom. Then next is symbiosis relationship, a mutual relationship between two organisms in which both get benefits. Example is lichen. And in the last slide we studied one bacteria, that was rhizobium, and that also shows a symbiosis relationship. So that was all about modes of nutrition in plants and animals. Okay, now these are some points, some important points. Like nutrition is of two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. Leaves are called food factories of the plant. Why? Because they manufacture food where on the leaf. Then chlorophyll is a green colored substance present in green parts of the plants. We see that green leaves, so that green pigment is due to the presence of chlorophyll. Saprophytes lack chlorophyll. Now these saprophytes, these are plants, they do not have chlorophyll. If you remember the necessary conditions for photosynthesis, one was chlorophyll. If this don't have chlorophyll, then it is not able to manufacture food. That's why saprophytes are dependent on dead and decaying matter for their food. And last, insectivorous plants trap insects with the help of special leaves to get the supply of nitrogenous compounds. Now these insectivorous plants, they are able to produce their food, but still they depend on some insects to fulfill the requirements of extra nutrients which their body requires. So that was all about chapter 1. Thank you.